Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the BFL Football Show for another week, proudly supported by McDonald's Ballarat and Ballarat Toyota. And Nunny, welcome aboard, mate. Big weekend of BFL action last weekend, mate, and the final series approaches us.
It's upon us, mate. This is what we're playing for, the Premiership Cup. Everyone's up and about, excited. The sun's out, everyone's happy. So
hopefully the sun stays out, mate.
Exactly. Good times ahead. Looking forward to the finals action this weekend.
Very much so. Just touched you on last week's games, Nunny. Look, Sunbury, they rested a few players before the game against Ballarat last week, and probably freshened those players up. Not too sure if they had any niggling injuries or what it was, but they accounted for Ballarat by 29 points in the end. I suppose they did what they needed to do to go over the line and I suppose record a victory before the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at this game and had a look, and look, Ballarat dominated the first 5 to 10 minutes of play, but they didn't put not even a point on the board. Yep. So that would have been disappointing from their perspective. But look, just go to show you how good of a defensive side that Sunbury are. They were just doing what they had to do to get through without any injuries unscathed, so they can head into this week's clash against Redan fit and ready to go.
And East Point, match of the round, they played Daly and Daly Park, and there was so much reward for the winner of this game, obviously, with the winner finishing third, and full credit to Dan Jordan and his side for getting the victory down there and obviously finishing third position. But DJ got knocked off in the Tony Lockett medal, mate. He kicked 3-7 and Suts kicked a few goals on the weekend, so he overtook him. But look, East Point from a home and away point of view, fantastic performance this year. Yeah. They've been probably the surprise packet, I reckon.
Well, them along with Daly, they've been one of the big improvements of this season. Daly obviously coming from the bottom of the ladder to finish in 4th position. We have to acknowledge what a great effort that has been. But it was interesting to listen to Rod McPherson speak at our media conference just a short time ago, and he said that they played a number of players on the weekend that they normally wouldn't have rushed back into the side, but they obviously needed to get them a bit of match fitness in ahead of the first final. They weren't quite up to it, and look, this week they'll be certainly better for that. So, look, I think they'll come out firing this week against North Ballarat City, and they're going to have to, obviously, to stay alive. But it was interesting to hear him point that out. But look, I was surprised to see that East Point won this game. I actually tipped Daly. I thought they would have won this one, especially with the form that they were bringing into the game. But there's obviously a reason for that.
Very much so. And the Redan account for Lake Wendouree fairly comfortably at the Wendouree Reserve in trying conditions. Looked for Redan to kick 20 goals in those sort of conditions was a great effort, but they come at a cost, I suppose, with Nathan Horbury doing his shoulder, and he's going to miss a couple of games, which is a big out because he's been in great form all year, and I think he'll poll very well in the Henderson medal.
He just sets him up across half back, and look, Eamon Gill said in the same media conference that look, he has been playing through the midfield a lot more, but he just sets them up. He plays behind the ball. They get the ball out to him, and he just runs the ball through the middle so comfortably. Another one to mention was Grant Bell. His performance on the weekend, he kicked 5 goals from the midfield.
He's been the informed player in the last month, Belly.
Just played a very dominant game, and he's certainly one that Sunbury's going to have to match up on if they're going to beat him.
For sure. North Ballarat City took on Melton South on the weekend. North City 20-15-135 defeated Melton South 16-7-103. So North City just did enough to go over the line. Probably not their most polished performance for the year, but I suppose they'll be hoping to build on that effort and that win and record a victory this week. But I think this is going to be a big game next week between North City and Daly. I know we'll touch on that in a minute, Nunny, but I suppose on the weekend's performance, what do you take out of that game?
They would have been disappointed to leak 16 goals. I mean, they're heading to this final series has probably been the best defensive side in the competition. I think they've let through the least amount of points of any team in the competition. So they'd be disappointed to let through 16 goals. It would be a concern for them. But they're coming up a very good attacking side in Daly again this weekend. So if Brendan Porter gets a hold of their defence, he can kick a few goals and actually get them the victory. So a big game for them this week. They're going to have to tighten up in their defence, and they'll be pretty disappointed, I suppose. Even though they won, they'd still be disappointed with that performance.
And Sebastopol took on back a smash, and even though both these sides couldn't make the finals, we said last week how important a victory to finish the season was for these sides, and back a smash ran away with a 16-point victory. So they'd be pleased with the way they finished. A new coach next year, a really good club to take on, I think. Good juniors coming through. And I think this, from Sebastian's point of view as well, they've shown improvement throughout the year.
Absolutely.
They've been competitive for 2.5, 3 quarters of footy a game, and they're just 1 quarter of bad footy each week seems to let them down. So I think both sides can take a fair bit out of the year and move on to next year.
And they've got the nucleus there to build a side around too. Like Michael Powell, as we've spoken about a number of times throughout the course of the year. Yeah, fantastic effort for a bloke who's playing in the team that finished clearly on the bottom of the ladder. So. They're going to be all right in years to come, I think. Yeah,
very good. Now, Nunny, on Monday night, the Ballarat Football Netball League Hall of Fame took place. This happens every second year. It was another great night.
Fantastic.
And some really good inductees into the Hall of Fame this year. We'll just touch on those people briefly. The inductees to the Hall of Fame for this year were Len Templar, Wayne Cracknell, Alan Benson, the great radio commentator, Barry Stevens, Jeff McElwain, and George King, obviously the seconds, the reserve best and fairest named after George King as well. So all those guys certainly thoroughly deserved it, and I think
all big names are well known throughout the league.
Yeah, and just hearing each one of those people and the people who spoke on behalf of those people after they accepted their prize or their gift or their frame on Monday night, just really how proud they were to be inducted, and just hearing the old stories from the olden days is. For a young person, I suppose we're young, aren't we?
Yeah.
For a young person to sort of hear some of those stories was good, and you could hear a pin drop every time one of those people spoke. So it was
absolutely, great. And congratulations to John Swoop and Northey and his elevation to legend status as well. Look, Swoop, you could talk to him for hours upon hours about his stories within the Ballarat Football League, and obviously he's got a long and decorated career in coaching and playing. And look, I think this is certainly another feather in his cap, and he'd be certainly proud to be elevated to a legend of the Ballarat Footy League Hall of Fame.
For sure. And none of the senior netball wrap from last weekend, mates. The games: Ballarat defeated Sunbury, East Point defeated Darley, Lake Wendouree defeated Redan, North City defeated Melton South, and Bacchus Marsh defeated Smash fairly easily. So moving forward to this week, mate. Got some big games, but no bigger than Lake Wendouree and East Point, mate.
Yeah, look, they've been the two standout sides all season, and it was interesting to listen to the girls talk about their matchup this weekend and the matchups they've had throughout the course of the year as well. East Point have got a couple of injury concerns, none bigger than Catherine Micah herself, so hopefully she can get up and play in the game. Redan, they take on Bacchus Marsh this weekend, and they've got a lot of injury concerns. So Bacchus Marsh, whilst they haven't had the greatest run into the final series, they're a big chance this weekend. And the big game between Melton and Darley, great to see Melton push their way back up into the top six, and that's going to be a cracking game too.
Can anyone stop Lake Wendouree? They've been the form side all year, but can they be beaten?
Look, personally, I don't think they will get beaten this year. I think they'll win their fifth premiership in 6 years, which is a monumental effort. And obviously they were upset last season, so it could have been 6 out of 6. But just a great effort by a fantastic netball side. Yeah,
definitely. Now, Nunny, the footy action for this weekend, I suppose the first qualifying final is taking place on Saturday afternoon between Redan v Sunbury. This is 1v2, taking place at the Eastern Oval at 2:15 p.m. The winner goes through to a second semi-final. The loser plays the highest ranked winner from the elimination finals. So it's a massive carrot for the winner in this game. If you lose, you're back in the pack. So I think this is going to be an outstanding contest. Look, so much rivalry between these sides. We could speak for half an hour on this game, Nunny, but what are your thoughts? I think this will be a lot closer than people think. Sunbury beat Redan by about 8 goals a couple of weeks ago when they played them.
Yep.
And I think Sunbury go into this game as favourites.
Oh, I agree. I think they have to because obviously of the result that they had only a couple of weeks ago. They've rested blokes heading into this first final. They didn't see any need to play them in the bog at Alfred and Oval. They're going to come into the game nice and fresh. There's talk about the bye, what sort of effect that has on players. I think this will be a good thing for their players because it'll freshen them up. They get a couple more players on. You've got Jamie Lobb, Jay Cheap, Samet, a couple of other guys to come back into the side. So they're going to be ready to go, ready to take on Redan, and it's going to be a cracking game. I'm really looking forward to it. The only question mark that's still hanging over Sunbury's head is that playing Redan at the Eastern Oval. Redan have always had the wood over them at that venue, and always have during a final series too. So they actually haven't beaten Redan in a final since 2004 grand final. That's an interesting stat in itself. So it's going to be a big game, and really looking forward to this one.
For sure. East Point take on Ballarat in one of the elimination finals on Sunday at 2:15 at the Eastern Oval. Look, Ballarat's form has been a little bit up and down in recent times. They weren't too bad against Sunbury last week. But East Point's form has been outstanding. They have to go into this game red hot favourites, Nutty.
They are. Yep.
Just, I suppose, something that may help Ballarat is the fast track at the Eastern Oval. Not much rain forecast. I think a nice sunny dry day will suit Ballarat the way they play. If we turn the clock back to the start of the season when Ballarat were playing their best footy, was when the grounds were dry.
That's right.
So I think this game will be a lot closer than people think, but you just can't go past East Point with the way they've been playing.
As fun as it may seem, Ballarat, probably would be more happy to be playing against East Point this week as opposed to playing a North City or a Darley, because I think they match up a lot better on East Point. Biggest concern is the big fella up forward. They need to control him and they need to limit his input on the game. If they can do that, they're going to go a long way to beating him.
Yeah.
But we know they've got so many great players. East Point, Matty Bilton's had a fantastic year. Jace Delaney's playing some good footy, and Paul Kotorenko was unstoppable on the weekend in the ruck. So they're going to have their hands full with these guys.
No, for sure. Great game shaping up that one as well. Darley take on North City in the other elimination final. This game's played at Darley Park on Sunday at 2:15 p.m. This game's an interesting one, Nanny. I'm not too sure what way to swing here. I think the game being Darley Park obviously helps Darley a little bit, but I think North City, if they're good enough, they can win this game. Darley's form has been really, really good the last 3 months, really. They had the loss last weekend, which won't do them too much harm at all. Just what you mentioned about Rob McPherson saying that they brought a few new players back into the side last week that were probably a bit underdone.
Yeah.
That week will help them, and I think Darley can get over the line.
I disagree. I think North Ballarat City are well placed to win this one. I think the injuries will catch up with Darley. They do have guys that are underdone getting into this game, and I think they may have one or two that might not play as well. So, that's the word coming from the camp anyway. But North Ballarat City, they've also got their injury concerns. Tristan Cartledge, I would be very surprised if he plays. Rumour has it that he's torn his hamstring again. So, that'd be a massive loss for them if they can't get him up for this game. They're going to give him every opportunity to play, but if he does play, I think it'd be a big surprise and a big in for North Ballarat City as well. But the way North Ballarat City play, they step it up during the final series. They're a very defensive, structured side, very well structured side, and they play very good defensive football. And I think they've got the firepower to get over the line.
Look, I think in terms of each club's point of view here, Darley didn't win a game last year, nothing to lose. They've had an outstanding season. I know you just don't make up the numbers, but
even if they lose, it'll be a successful season.
North City, everyone spoke about them being premiership favourites, the side to beat, top three.
There's a lot of pressure on them.
I reckon there's a huge amount of pressure because last year they won a final, and so if they lose on the weekend, it would be a step backwards from last year. So I think massive pressure on North City on the weekend.
Especially the way they recruited pre-season too. You're obviously getting Tristan Cartledge across to the side and a couple of other guys. Just to improve their depth and their strength. So, if they went out in the first week, they would be very disappointed with that performance. For sure. Nunny, the BFL Live Schools application, mate. I'm sure you've plugged this I actually saw you walking down Sturridge Street on Friday plugging this, mate. Yep.
You plug it that much.
Yep.
Are people downloading the application to the iPhone, mate? Or?
Trying to plug it as much as we possibly can, bros, but it's a fantastic thing. If you want to keep up to date with what's happening in the Ballarat Football League, especially over the final series, get the Live Scores app onto your phone. For sure.
Nunny, I know you've got a busy week, but thanks very much for taking 10 or 12 minutes out of your day, mate, to join us today, and much appreciated.
Always a pleasure with you, bros. You're just the great professional that you are in doing this show.
Thanks very much, Nunny, and thanks very much for joining us on the BFL Footy Show once again.
G'day to Gilly.
Gilly, all the best, mate. You've been coach of the year so far this year, mate. So I reckon if you have a win of the weekend, mate, you just might be elevated to possibly Hall of Fame next year. Righto. Thanks so much for joining us on the BFL Footy Show for another week. Proudly supported by McDonald's Ballarat and Ballarat Toyota. Bye for now.